At Biswell Studio, we believe in what we call the butterfly impact, which is a take of the butterfly effect. This is a perfect example of that, because if the camera didn't, glance at you, you would not be doing what you're doing today. Probably not.
Yes.
Could you, when you reflect back at that moment, how significant was that for you?
Well, after working with Hollywood for over 20 years, I was given my instructions by my elders and my ancestors to walk away from that part of my life because I was going down the wrong road of ego, greed, material gain. And I was told to walk away from that, and I went and spent the next 6 years from 2009 to 2015 in the wilderness and understanding and healing from my emotional, my mental, my physical, my spiritual being, finding that balance from my childhood trauma. But in the interim, on the 6 years I was there, I came to understand that everything happens for a reason. And I was destined to be at that time when the camera came and took my life down a different road. And now I know why my life has become what it is now, in a sense of being as a four-directional human being. And I say four-directional because I am trying to understand who my people are prior to European contact. The term indigenous is a colonial term based in Latin, on the Latin language. When I say four-directional, I'm talking about who I am as a human being, meaning there's four-directional, everything we look at life as four-directional people, as indigenous, is there's 4 times of the day, there's 4 seasons, 4 cardinal directions, the 4 aspects of us as a human being, the emotional, the mental, the physical, the spiritual, and there's the 4 sacred medicines, the 4 times of the day, and the 4 races of the human family. The 6 years in the wilderness made me understand why the world is where it is right now. This collective spiritual awakening that's happening in this world right now is to remind a human being how we have forgotten about our higher power, how we have forgotten about our fellow human being. So when you talk about this butterfly effect and this interview we're doing right now, this was set since the beginning of time. This was predestined. And me doing what I do now as an inherent storyteller, I am just fulfilling the purpose, the agreement I made with my higher power to be born at this time, in this point in time in history. So,
could you, if you go back to these 6 years you spent in the wilderness, could you describe what a typical day would look like for you? You would wake up in the morning. What would happen during the day?
Every day I didn't know what was going to happen every day because I wasn't in control. I had surrendered ultimately, absolutely, to my higher power, and understanding that whatever the Creator had me to work on, the emotional, the mental, the physical, the spiritual part of my being, and it could be working in the community, or being out on the land doing ceremony, or sitting in solitude and listening to the silence to understand what the ancestors were going to relay to me. And I never lived the same day twice. And that was the beautiful thing of understanding how to be able to live in the present. Living in the moment is surrendering to everything else in life and not chasing what the world knows as a 1260 frequency, which is 60 seconds to 1 minute, 60 minutes to an hour, 12 months of the year. That's artificial time. That's a clock and a calendar that you'll never catch up to, which is why the world is living in stress, living with cancer, living with sickness. I came to understand what the 1328 frequency is, and that's the 1328 is there's a full moon every 28 days, 13 times of the year. And that is what my ancestors knew as Creator's time. That's real time. So, yeah.
That's a real measure of time.
Yes.